Meta is firing. Twitter is firing. Wait, Twitter is hiring. Apple is slowing down. If you think the world is falling apart, yes, yes, it is. Hey everyone, this is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. So we got to jump right into this Elon fiasco. You got to read the headline. I'm serious. Here's the headline. Twitter now asks some fired workers to please come back. Please come back. Can't make this up. Twitter now asks some fired workers to please come back. So I'm just laughing. Now, actually, to be really frank, it's actually not funny. Just imagine you have a job, your boss calls you or emails you and says, hey, you're fired. And you're pretty upset because, you lost your job. And then now they're like, asking you to come back and you just gave your boss the finger. I mean, how do you feel? Let's read the... Oh my God. It's such a crap show over there. Twitter, after laying off half the company on Friday, half the company. Read the headline. Twitter, after laying half the company on Friday, following Elon Musk's $44 billion acquisition, is now reaching out to dozens of employees who lost their jobs and asked them to return. You can't make this stuff up. Some of those who are being... I can't keep a straight face. Some of those who are being asked to return were laid off by mistake, according to two people familiar with the moves. Others were let go before management realized that their work and experience may be necessary to build new features Musk envisions. I'm sorry we fired you, but it turns out you have skills that we need. Would you like to come back? What do you guys think? Would you do it? Would you come back? I mean, yes, you need a job. You get it. But if you got skills that Twitter needs, I'm assuming just to spite them, you could be like, yo, I'm going to take my skills to another company. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on this, but it's hard to keep a straight face because there's so many Tesla pumpers and Elon Musk basically lovers, I guess we'll say. Lovers and pumpers. And actually, Elon Musk's mothers, that's a real thing. He has 10 kids with multiple women. But it's just, you guys got to understand that Elon Musk is a human being. He can make mistakes. And for all those people who thought I was a superhero, I just hate to break it to you. Everyone has kryptonite. And it was funny, someone wrote a comment yesterday, which I think is really apt and important to understand, is that we all have to identify what our kryptonite is and try to control ourselves. And the comment yesterday I just thought was funny. We were talking about essentially maybe Elon Musk was trapped into buying Twitter. And just think of it this way, be like, nah, 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 you're too poor to buy Twitter. Nah, 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 nah. And Elon Musk is like, I'm not too poor to buy Twitter. I can buy for any price. Like, nah, 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 I don't believe you. And Musk be like, hey, I'm going to show everyone. I got all the money in the world. And he went ahead and bought Twitter. And, it's interesting when you put it that way. I just want you guys to think about it. These are human beings. Everyone has a weakness, right? And so for Musk, it's got to be his pride and maybe his wealth, perhaps. You could say, I don't think he can afford to buy it, and he bought it, and it's just a crap show. Firing people, now asking them to come back, and not only just people, like people you really need because they got skills. So the people ask you not to be identified discussing the private information. So basically, people are leaking this stuff because it's so ridiculous, but obviously you want to keep this private who is saying it. Twitter cut close to 3,700 people this week via email as a way to trim costs following Musk's acquisition, which closed in late October. Many employees learned they lost their job after access to company-wide systems like email and Slack were suddenly suspended. So basically, and I've heard this with other companies as well, I want to say Coinbase, and maybe, don't quote me on the Coinbase, but it was companies like Coinbase. I've heard these kind of things to where, yeah, actually, you know what? I think it was Coinbase. But basically what it is that you have a job, and your job fires you, and what they do is they email you at your company email, right? But they cut off your access to your company email first because they're actually quite worried. This is a real thing. If you fire someone in bad terms, you're just worried that person may, steal company data, any number of things, and get back at you in some way. You just don't know how people are going to react to being fired because it's a real thing. Losing your job is really painful for people, and I really understand, guys. I really understand. Imagine you have car payments, mortgage payments, you have kids to feed, all of these things. And suddenly your company just fires you, shuts off email, and you don't even get the email. And some people, in some cases, when they shut off your company email and they can't contact you, they text you the next day or something like that. It's a whole crap show when you fire people in this method. And remember, they fired half of people at Twitter and now asking them to come back. And then a Twitter spokesperson did not reply to a request for comments. Of course they don't reply. And I just really want you guys to understand, I warned you guys about this stuff. I warned people about the tech crash last year. And all these pumpers on YouTube, oh, Chris is so dumb. He doesn't understand anything. He's just an idiot. And it's like, it's a bunch of 20-year-old kids that have no idea. And basically they just tell everyone all day, every day, oh, it's going to be short, keep buying, keep buying, keep buying. They've been telling people that, like all year, and they even marks and it just shows that, they have no experience. And even some of the older people on YouTube, either like your Stockmore, Larry Jones, we talked about these guys before. They basically just lie to you every time that they have any experience, and they have zero. And the reason why is because like they're probably my age, even though they look like 20 years older than me. They're most likely my age. I'm pushing 50 if you don't know. And the basic gist of it is that because they don't have any experience in the markets, and they like pretend like they know what they're talking about, they just tell people the wrong things all the time. And I get it, guys. If you just got in the market for the first time, you think tech is going to be awesome forever, but not always the case, right? I lived through the dot-com bubble, I lived through 0809. Like for example, in 0809, if you were buying, say, finance stocks or anything like real estate connected mortgage stuff, and you were buying the top, that was like the last stuff you want to be in. The same way here, this sort of crypto tech bubble, or you want to call it stimulus check bubble, meme stock stuff, that's the last place you want to be, buying at the top. And this whole Twitter thing, I think it's a really prime example of even the best CEOs, right? You can argue Elon Musk is a good CEO. You could argue that. But they can fall to their own pride. And I would just want you guys to watch this live as we're watching it together and sharing the experience. And it's just funny. And the other thing is, too, I'll be curious how the Twitter pumpers, actually I say Tesla, Twitter, Elon Musk, Kathy Wood, how all the pumpers are going to respond to this. They'll be like, no. It's not Elon's fault they fired half the people. Now they're trying to hire him back. It's someone else's fault. Elon's a smart guy. I'm sure they'll come up with something. Who knows? But it's hard to defend this. It's a crap show. You read the headline. Twitter now asks some fired workers to please come back. Unreal. Also, too, Facebook will be firing this week. Wednesday is the date. And again, just for your guys in your life, always check in with your boss. See how your relationship is, what's going on, anything else you can help doing. Also make friends with other departments in your company. Make friends with people in other companies as well. Always want to be thinking about, where's your safety net in case you're on the cutting block. If you don't know if you're on the cutting block, then you're probably on the cutting block. That's a real thing, right? If your boss doesn't want to look at you, that kind of stuff, they don't answer you, you're probably on the cutting block because it's uncomfortable, right? So that's why you always want to keep lines of communication open and always have to safety net. And this is also a really important thing as well. This is why you always want to do a good job everywhere you go. You want to be a pleasant person, be nice to people. Just be like someone that people don't hate. And this happens is when you go to a new place, or someone that goes to a new place, and they start looking for people. They say, hey, do you know anyone out there who can do X? That's just common. It happens all the time at work. And you're like, oh, well, let me look through my contacts. I'll find someone who can do X. And then you look through the comments, and the way that it works, guys, if you looked at your LinkedIn or whatever, is you look at your colleagues or friends, or even just people who are kind of, loose friendships, right? You kind of know them. You always ask yourself the simple question is, okay, would I feel comfortable vouching for someone? Because when you recommend someone to someone else, that affects essentially your honor and your prestige and your image, right? And so this is where networking becomes really, really important, and why I emphasize you guys always have good relationships with people, because you want people to be proud to know you. That's how the world works at these kind of levels. And when I see the Tesla pumpers and stuff like that, I just feel like it's just a bunch of kids that maybe never worked in the real world. I don't know what to say. And people do make mistakes, and Elon Musk made a huge mistake buying Twitter. It's hard to ignore these things that are coming out, these crazy stories. Also, too, Apple is slowing down production. You guys know this already. It's just the situation looks bad in China. There was some footage that they've been showing around where people were running away from the Foxconn factory where they build iPhones. Because basically the gist was that there was going to be lockdowns. I believe this was Zhengzhou. And, if you found out that your factory is going to be closed and you can't leave, you're probably going to take off too, even though you don't want to necessarily spread COVID, but just from an individual's perspective, I don't want to be locked up with a bunch of people that got COVID. And Apple's like, yo, we're having trouble over here. And this is an important time for Apple because you guys probably know Christmas season's coming up. This is when people want to buy phones and gifts for each other. And, when the thing is just COVID is real. I think it's a real shame what's going on in China. So basically, if you guys don't know, we've talked about this before on the channel. The Chinese government actually did want the Moderna vaccine. It works. The problem was, though, is that they wanted the secret formula of Moderna. And Moderna, there was no way they were going to give up their secret formula. And so this is sort of how the Chinese government operates. It's either my way or screw my own people, which is, I think, is a horrible, horrible stance. Sometimes you got to try to strike a fair deal, not try to cheat people. In the sense of the Chinese government trying to cheat Moderna. Moderna's like, we got other customers and countries to worry about. You know, we don't have to take a bad deal just because, you know, you're a powerful Chinese government, which they are, but there's a lot of other countries out there in the world. And I think what's going on as well, a lot of companies are out there evaluating of like, is it really worth dealing with the Chinese government anymore? And I think, as I mentioned to you guys before, in my opinion, I think India and Vietnam are going to have the most growth going forward. I'm not sure about Indonesia. Indonesia is an interesting one because they theoretically could be. The problem you're dealing with any one of these countries, be India, Vietnam, or Indonesia, is corruption. That is a real thing. And also, too, I think sometime down the road there will be expansion of different companies into Africa, but I don't know how long that'll be. Because right now we're in a kind of a slowing down phase of the world economy. So it's hard to find growth anywhere in the world that's just real. But I do still think India or Vietnam are the place to be if you want to. And, you know, we'll see. The problem is President Xi's in power for a while. As I say, maybe if the government trying to change it, but the problem is he's solidifying his power there. And so I hope for the best for everyone this winter, but I do think there's going to be a couple things going on as the layoffs are going to continue, interest rates are going to keep going up, and violence and crime is unfortunately going to go up around the world as well. I think really in the USA, and I've been telling people, is just be out there and protect yourselves. Interpret that however you want, and just, you know, be safe. I used to live in Philadelphia when I went to school, and you couldn't go outside after 10 p.m. It's real. I can't make that stuff up. And I lived in New York City. It was a similar situation in certain parts of the city. Just you don't go outside, and you know, it's only going to get worse. And you know, especially with sort of also too. I mean, I'm just talking about living in the USA, but you also have the war in Ukraine, which is, you know, I mean, that's a war over there. And there was I read recently there was what's the name, Putin. He re-entered the grain thing. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's basically Putin said, hey, I'm not going to guarantee any safety of ships shipping grain from Ukraine to the rest of the world. He's changed his mind on that. Basically what it was is he negotiated a deal with Turkey, and Turkey is essentially trying to take advantage of the situation, which any country would. But the problem is with this thing is if you're Turkey and you want to join, you know, the EU and NATO and be like, if you want to be with the Western side, you can't have it both ways, and that's essentially what Turkey's been trying to do. So right now they're negotiating with Putin and trying to work out deals with that, and they got the deal that they wanted, evidently, but for both sides. And then now the food is going. So that's good. The food is coming, but I just want you guys to understand that whenever you get some sort of negotiation on something, it always comes at a price, right? When you deal with countries, just think of it this way: is every country is kind of like a mob boss. if you want to, you know, get a deal with a mob boss, you got to give the mob boss something, right? So this is one of the first lessons I teach in international relations. You got to think of the world kind of like that. It's just how it is. So we'll see how this thing's turned out and everything. And anyway, that's it. So hopefully this is useful, helpful for you. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on the whole Twitter firing and hiring. Would you go back to your job, or would you just go on to another company? So thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you next video.